Hi, I'm Coney Cat, and today I'm going to show you how to set up and play Winter Queen. It's a 2 to 4 player game, runs about 30 minutes for ages 10 and up. It's an interesting strategy game. You play as royal wizards who are casting spells in competition to become the key advisor to the queen for the next year. It is interesting enough for a seasoned gamer. It's accessible enough for beginners and young kids. So I definitely say give this one a try. Definitely worth it. So let me show you how to play. I'm going to show you how to set up to play Winter Queen. There are some variations depending on how many players you have, and these reference sheets are great. They show you the differences depending on how many players. I will go ahead and just do the basic setup first and then show you what these variations are. So we're going to start with the board. It doesn't matter which side you want to play with. The gameplay is the same regardless. It's just more aesthetic. Well, I'm going to just start with this side here. As you can see, there's coat of arms on the corners here. There are spaces with towers and a castle here, and all the territory colors are set up here. Same with the back. We still have the coat of arms here. The blank spaces are where those towers were. So those are our blank spots. And then the territories are set up with the colors here. I'm going to choose this side and we'll just set that down. That's going to be in the middle of everybody. Then we're going to hand out a reference sheet to all the players that are playing. This one shows you, again, the setup depending on the players, the actions available during your turn. And on the back side, it explains all of the spells that you can cast when you get a spell book. So we're going to pass that out to each player. We'll have that set up here. Then we're going to set up the crystal holder tiles. That's what these pieces are here. Now this is where the variation comes in between a 2, 3, and 4 player. And again, as you can see on the reference sheet, they make it clear, crystal holder tiles, how many you're going to use. For a 2 and 3 player game, you're going to use 3. For a 4 player game, you're going to play 4. And for a 2 player game, you're going to set these out so they are within reach of all the players. For a 3 to 4 player game, you are going to set these in between each player. So for example, if I were to have 3 players, and let's say I have one here, 1 player here, and 1 player here, I'm going to put these holders in between each player like that. That would be my 3 player. And that way this player only has access to these 2. This player has access to these 2. This player has access to these 2. And if you have a 4 player, you add this 4th one in, make a little room. We'll scooch it over. Scoochy scooch. We would do this. And again, the players would have access to the left and right of them, not all of them. In a 2 player game, you have access to all of them. For the sake of setup, to make it a little easier, I'm just gonna set it up as a 2 player here. So let's just go ahead and get that. These recollected here. We'll have these 3 holders out here like that. Next thing we're gonna work on is the crystals here. And again, I know I keep referencing this, but it is very helpful. Here it says how many crystals are removed depending on the players we have. If we have a 4 player game, we don't remove any. If we have a 3 player game, we remove 1 of each color. And if we have a 2 player game, we remove 3 of each color. So we have all the colors here, and we're gonna set up for a 2 player just because it's easier for space. And so I'm gonna go ahead and take 3 out of each color. That's purple, that's yellow, that's blue, green, and red. So those are out of the game completely. And then all of these are going to go into the bag here. Oops, rogue one. All right, into the bag they go. We shake this up nice and good. And then we are going to place crystals out on these crystal holders. And again, our reference sheet. For a 2 player game, you're going to put 3 out. For a 3 and 4 player game, you'll put 4. So since I'm setting up for a 2 player game, we are going to draw 3, put them there, draw 3, put them there, and draw 3, put them there. Now that we have our crystals set up, we are going to get the queen domain tiles out here. That's these pieces here. If you can see, this is the back side. This is the front. We have crystals here and some blank blank spots here. We're gonna kind of shuffle these up a little bit, mix them up as best you can, and then pick random tiles to place out. On this side of the board, it will be where the towers and the castle are. On this side of the board, it will be the blank spots here. And there's 5 spots regardless of which side you're playing. So I'm gonna place these out here like so. The leftovers are out of the game. And then we flip these over and see what we have. We have a couple blanks. We have a couple crystal spots here, and then the queen domain tiles are set. Next, we are going to do the spell books. The spell books are stacks of 5. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There should be 4 stacks of 5. We are going to place these next to the coat of arms on the board here. There's a green, there's a purple, there's a blue, and there's a red here. And then we're gonna keep our victory tokens nearby. And our first player token goes to the person who last saw snow. If all of you saw snow last, then you'll have to come up with another way to choose the first player. And then we are all ready to play. The overall flow of this game is you're going to be taking crystals. You can place them out here. You can get spell books. You can place the crystals, put them on spell books. You can cast the spells on the spell books and gain points that way. So it's important to look at this side of your reference sheet because it explains how you're going to be able to make points when you cast a spell from these books. And all of these spells are going to be based off of the crystal you have placed or the crystal that's already here. So I'm just going to go over the overview of the actions and then get a little more detailed. So on your turn, you're able to do one of 3 actions. You can take a crystal, you can place it out here. And when you place it out here, you would take the spell book from that area that you placed it, and that goes in your spell book spot here for each player. If you were to place your crystal on one of these blank queen domain tiles, you are able to take a spell book from any of the areas here. You're not confined to the domain color spaces in which you can choose it from. Another action you can take on your turn is taking a crystal from one of the holders. You can place it on your spell book here, and that will give you the option to use either the yellow or the purple when you activate your spell. But again, this is one action you can take on your turn. So for this action, you would place it here and then your turn would end. The next action you can take is activating a spell. You can activate your spell with either the crystal that's depicted here or the crystal that you've played here. You're able to place 2 crystals on each side of your spell book here. So if there's one already depicted, you're able to put another one, only one other one here. If you have a spell book that has 2 spells on it, you would be able to place one crystal to each side and use those crystals when you activate those. You can also have the same color of crystals. It doesn't matter there. That's not limiting. So you could have 2 yellows here as well. Now, when you activate it, if you activate a single spell with this one, you would choose either the yellow or the purple to score. And again, using the reference sheet, you'll understand what you're able to score. This particular spell means I get a point for every crystal that's on the edge of the map. So I could pick a yellow or a purple. I would probably pick purple because I have that one on the edge, that one on the edge, and it would give me 2 points. So I'm going to score using the purple, and I would get 2 victory points here. Take my 2, and you would place it face down so nobody sees. And then this gets discarded from the game. The crystal used gets discarded from the game. And that would be the end of my turn. Now, when you activate a spell from a spell book that has 2, you're able to activate both on a turn. You can pick which one you want to do and in what order you want to do. Let's say I do the yellow for this one. This one lets me score based on the color on my books, on my spell book and my opponent's spell book. Right now I have 2 yellows, so I would get 2 points for that because I have 2 yellows on a spell book. I would grab my 2 here, place it face down. That one's been scored. This one, you score for every crystal that's around it. Unfortunately, this yellow is the only one out here. There's nothing there. I wouldn't score for that. So probably not the best turn to activate that. But again, this one is out of the game. The spell book is out of the game. And when you activate 2 spells in a game like that, you would remove a crystal from the board that is not of that color. So anything but yellow. And this goes back into the bag. and that would be the end of the turn. Another thing to note is when you take the last crystal from a holder and there aren't any other crystals, you will get 1 victory point. Every time you do that, you will place that however you want to. If you want to play it out here, take a spell, you will get 1 point for having taken the last one, and you would refill the crystals here with 3 more crystals right away at the end of your turn. The end of the game gets triggered when you draw the last crystal from the bag here. So end of game, let's say we have all these all have been played out here. We draw the last one. From that, we get a victory point for taking the last one, of course, from that holder. We're gonna draw from the bag, there's none left. We're gonna put these out here. When we take those last ones, we are going to actually take all of the crystals left. We removed these from the game. We have 1 crystal holder to play off of, and then we play with a little variance for the end game here. When the end game has been triggered like this, you are going to play based using just this holder here. You are going to continue to take turns until the turn order proceeds to the first player token. So let's say this was triggered by me. The next player would play, then it would be back to me, and then everybody gets 1 more turn. So player 1 would get 1 more turn, player 2 would get 1 more turn, and then that's the end of the game. During this final rounds here, you cannot activate your spells. You will only be able to place a crystal onto the map or onto your spell book, but you cannot activate. So there will be 1 more round of turns till we get to the first player. If it was the second player who triggered the end game, then it comes back to the first. Everyone would get 1 more turn. Once those crystals have been placed 1 last time, every player will activate their spells that they have 1 last time, starting with the first player and clockwise from there. So how that's gonna go, let's say I have this player places 1 crystal out here, first player places this one here, second player gets 1 more turn here, and then there are no more placing of crystals. Player 1 is gonna activate their spells, get their points. Player 2 will activate their spells, get their points, and then we do our final scoring. We do our final scoring by everybody revealing all their tokens and counting up, and whoever has the highest number wins. And if there is a tie, the victory is shared. I'm going to go into a little more detail on what the spells actually do in the spell books here so you understand how everything will score. So let's start with this one here. They all have names in the book. They don't have names out here, so we're just going to do it from visual here. So this one shows a little line with 3 different color crystals with arrows. So this one, you would use this purple here. You'd activate this purple. You pick a purple on the map here, and you draw an invisible straight line. And you're going to count how many different colors there are. So if I were to choose this purple and use this straight line, I have a purple, a red, and a blue that are all different colors. I would get 3 points for that. If I chose this purple here and went this way, there's a purple, a red, and a blue, and a yellow. I would get 4 points for that one there. Next up, we have this spell here. It's got little arrows pointing out from a crystal in the middle. We're going to activate using this purple one here as well. When you score for this one is how many crystals are filled in around it. So let's say this purple one here, we would score 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points for all 5 filled in here. If we chose this purple one here, we would get 1, 2, 3, 4. These are empty, so we'd only score 4 for that one. So we would probably use this one since we would get 5 for that one. Now this one here is the opposite. This one is how many spaces are open around it. So you would take this yellow, choose a yellow on the board. We would probably choose maybe this one. There are 2 blank spaces around it. We would get 2 points. This one also gives us 2 points here for that blank space. So you're actually scoring for blank spaces, not filled spaces. For this spell book here, we're going to be scoring based on how many crystals are in the different domains here. So for the sake of this scoring, because I don't have a lot of greens out, we're going to say we had a yellow. So when we score, we're going to use the yellow instead of the green, and we are going to count how many areas there are. You can get at most 5 points. You're going to be scoring for the 4 different color territories and the queen domain spots. So we have 2 yellows out here. So we have yellow here. We have a yellow here. That's 2 points. We have a yellow in the purple area and a yellow in the queen domain area. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 points that we would get. Again, at most you can get 5 with this one. Next, we have this spell here. This one, you're going to choose a crystal color, and however many color crystals are on your spell books and your opponents, that's what you will score. So, right, for the sake of this one, let's say we activate using the green. We have one other spell book with a green, we would get 2 points. If we had a purple here, we could pick a purple or a green. Makes more sense to pick purple. You would get this point, and this point. Last but not least, we are going to use this spell here. We're going to keep with the red. This one, you get points based on that color and groups of that color. So I'll explain when we look out here. We will get 1 point for this red by itself. We'll get another point for this red by itself. And we will get 1 point for this little cluster. So we would get 1, 2, 3 points for that spell here. Now, during the gameplay, you are limited to 3 spells only at a time, so keep that in mind while you're playing. And that is everything I can show you on how to set up and play Winter Queen. I will see you next time for the next game. Bye!